You're watching the Action Film Writer Series.
Under Pressure, based on true events, by Carlson. Fade in, super. Exterior, Long Island Sound, day. Super, 15th January 1916. A calm ocean shimmers in the neon bright sunlight. In one small area, the effervescence of rising bubbles disturbs the surface. More bubbles rise until the submarine USS E2 blasts to the surface. The forward deck hatch bangs open. Thick black smoke boils out, followed by one soot-covered sailor. The rear deck hatch opens and several more sailors escape as a small Navy auxiliary ship maneuvers alongside. Interior, USS E2 control room, continuous. Chaos, shouts and yells, alarms, a muffled explosion. Thick black smoke billows through the cramped room. A flashlight beam penetrates the smoke, followed by Lieutenant Charles Cook, 29, as he leads 9 choking and coughing sailors to the conning tower ladder. He grabs the first sailor's arm and pushes it to the ladder. The sailor grabs it but freezes in panic. Cook, don't quit, keep going. With a push from Cook, the sailor climbs as another sailor follows. Exterior, USS E2 deck, minutes later. As sailors from the Navy ship alongside aim fire hoses down the smoking forward hatch, the last E2 sailor pulls himself out of the conning tower side hatch. Cook follows as an explosion below deck rocks the sub. A few deep breaths before Cook staggers back to the hatch. Another officer blocks him. Officer, there's nothing more you can do, Lieutenant. The officer slams the hatch shut. Interior, Secretary of the Navy Office, day. Secretary of the Navy Josephus Daniels, 53, stares blankly at the desk as an admiral places a report in front of him. Admiral, the Board of Inquirers report on the E2 fire, sir. They absolved Lieutenant Cook of all blame. Daniels ignores report. Do you realize how badly Cook has damaged Mr. Edison's reputation? Admiral, sir, several weeks before the explosion, Cook warned us the Edison battery generated excess hydrogen. Daniels, Mr. Edison now stands to lose $1 million in Navy contracts. Admiral, his battery was proven to be unsafe for submarines. 5 men died. Daniels, bury him. Admiral, sir. Daniels, bury Cook so deep in the woodwork he will never be heard from again. Admiral, but he's one of our brightest officers. Daniels, if you won't silence him, I'll find an admiral who will. Interior, Portsmouth Navy Yard, test shop, day. Super, 4½ years later. As a diesel engine bolted to a test stand roars, Lieutenant Cook monitors gauges with 4 engineers. The power reaches 100%, and the engineers trade nervous looks. Cook nods at the throttle man. He hesitates before he pushes the throttle forward. The power inches toward 105%. Cook checks his stopwatch and makes a few notes. Another nod at the throttle man, who eases the throttle forward. Power hits 110%. The RPM moves past the red line. Engineer yells to Cook, "Shouldn't we shut it down?" Cook, "Not yet." The engineer stares incredulous at Cook. Cook to the throttle man, "More!" The throttle man steps back. He's had enough. Cook takes control and pushes the throttle forward. The engine screams as power hits 120%. One holding bolt shears off. The engineers back away, afraid for their lives, but the engine holds together. Cook checks his stopwatch before he pulls the throttles back. As the engine winds down, one engineer steps forward. Engineer, "You could have killed us, Lieutenant." Cook, "And this engine could kill an entire submarine crew." Cook notices as a yeoman enters. End scene.